Hello and welcome to the Divorce to Bliss podcast. Here you will learn all things related to healing from divorce, mind, body, and spirit, so you can create a beautiful new life filled with happiness. I'm Rachel Ruby, author of Divorce to Bliss, divorce coach, speaker, and attorney, and I'm so glad you found me here. Hello and welcome to the Divorce to Bliss podcast. This episode is going to be so much fun. We are talking about working with an energy healer. And if you don't know what that means, don't fret because we're going to unravel the mystery. My guest today is Kristin Butterfield, and Kristin has worked as a healing professional for over 25 years. She started as a physical therapist and then expanded her practice to include alternative modalities and different forms of energy healing. Kristin helps clients to identify and dismantle stuck and negative energies and emotions and beliefs so that over time that have become tangled over time and trapped within. And once these blocks have been removed, these energetic and physical blocks, it is easier for the body, mind, and spirit to return to its natural state of balance and wellness. So I'm super excited to dive into this further. Welcome, Kristin.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so happy. And for those who don't really know much about energy healing, let's ask that question. What exactly is it? And maybe you can expand a little bit and tell us how it could help somebody who's maybe going through a trauma like divorce.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's actually a really big question because I think what we should talk about first is even the framework for that question, right? Like before we talk about what is an energy healer, like what are we even talking about with energy? What is this energy thing, And
Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So probably, I think like in general, energy is talking about the subtle aspects of ourselves. So we're not talking about like energy that you plug your computer into the socket. That's a different kind of energy, all energy. But what we're talking about in this framework of healing is the subtle body. So the subtle body meaning things your listeners may have heard of, like meridians and chakras and aura. Like acupuncturists work with meridians. So that's actually an energetic practice. And so all these things are what you could call our energy anatomy. So just as we have a physical anatomy, right? Our heart and each part of our physical anatomy has a certain function, like our heart beats and pumps blood through our whole body. Our muscles contract and create movement. Our gut digests our food, and on and on. So in the energetic world, our chakras, which are these swirling, turning kind of vortices of energy that assimilate, digest, and transmit energy. And each of the chakras, there are 7, they're lined up around the center of us, up and down, have a different function, just like our physical anatomy does. So our heart chakra, for example, which is centered in the middle of our chest, has to do with love or lack of. So it has to do with relationships, with self, with others, with the world at large. It has to do with all the emotions that come with love or lack of, right? Versus our root chakra, we'll compare that, which is off the tip of our tailbone. That has a totally different function. And so it deals with a different aspect of consciousness, which would be more about safety and survival, and tribe or family and belonging. And so it's that more basic stuff. And so each of our chakras has a different function, just like each of our physical anatomy pieces has a different function. And they are all working in tandem to create our wholeness, our balance, our wellness. So if something's out of sorts, there's going to be a ripple effect, and we're going to feel it in our physical anatomy as well as in our energetic anatomy. And so there's lots of pieces of an energy anatomy, but we'll kind of keep it at that to not go on and on forever. And so what can happen, and you sort of alluded to this in the intro, is just like things can go wrong in our physical anatomy, things can get stuck. So, for example, like plaque on your arteries, right? And that can cause a heart attack. So that's a clog in the system. There can be a clog in our energy system. And so that clog would be from something at some time that wasn't able to be processed through our whole system. And when I talk about our system, I'm talking about our mind, our body, and our energy field. They work all as one together. They're not actually separate pieces. They're all combined together in this beautiful tapestry that's us. So let's see, I like examples because it makes things make more sense for me and makes things more real. So like a clog, energetically speaking, could be something that happened yesterday or when we were a kid that couldn't be processed through our system. So we're supposed to be open-ended like a river, right? And so life flows in. I kind of think of this like through the top of our head. We have our reaction and response to it. We have our emotions. We have our thoughts about it. We engage with it and the people and the environment in which whatever's happening is happening. And then we let it go because life is flowing in, moving through, letting go. And so this is a healthy system, right? In flow with life and what's happening. It's not like you don't have your feelings. Of course you do. We're humans. But we can process our feelings, our emotions, our thoughts, and then move through them and on to the next and on to the next. But what can happen is just as there can be a wound or a clog in our physical body, there can be that same sort of thing in our energy body. So say, like something happened and we were under-resourced at that time. Maybe we were sick and we were fighting with our spouse and there was stress at work and we were worried about our kid and we're having financial problems and, fill in blank. So our cup is too full. So if our cup is too full, there's a certain point where you can't process anymore. And so when you can't process anymore, stuck, right? Stuff gets stuck.
Right.
Yeah. So that stuff, whatever it is that's getting stuck, has an energy to it. It has a vibration. Mm-hmm. And so I guess that's another aspect of this whole big question we're talking about. Energy. Everything is energy. It carries a vibration, a frequency. So just like, the old-fashioned way we used to tune a radio to a different frequency and 99.7, 106.1, and you'd tune it into different frequencies. Those numbers are actually frequencies, and you get a different radio station and you hear a different person or different kind of music. Mm-hmm. Everything has a frequency or a vibration. So our thoughts, our emotions, they all carry a frequency. And so when I'm talking about this, what I love to do is a little example, because sometimes it's a little esoteric to try to understand like what I'm talking about. But do you want to try a little something?
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure.
Okay. So close your eyes, and then everyone who's listening, close your eyes too. And I'm just going to say some words, and I just want you to feel the word inside you. Love. Disgust. Freedom. Trapped. Joy. Grief. Clarity. Confused. Okay, and then open your eyes. And so could you feel how that felt different?
Oh, that was crazy because I've done so much work on myself. And when you said those positive words like love and joy, I just felt this like bursting inside my chest, just like so happy, like birds flying. And then when you said those negative words, it just like, it kind of shook me and brought me, I don't know. And I was excited to hear the next positive word. So it was like this little emotional roller coaster.
Right. Yeah. And so those words that I used were like kind of polarities, right? Different ends of the spectrum.
Right.
But I used those extremes so you can feel the difference. And so on one hand, you could think they're just words, but if you really tune in, you can feel the energy of those words. So that's what I'm talking about. That's energy, right? You can feel it. It's tangible inside you.
Yes. And I think that's so great for people who are, a lot of people are trying to heal. Like I talk about divorce, and they don't understand that concept that they really have to touch and tune into their energy, because you can't just say, okay, I'm going to be happy and be happy. You have to figure out what it is that's bringing you down and triggers you. And maybe, like you said, you could be going through divorce and feeling miserable and in a victim state, but there could be something from your childhood that has come with you and been with you all this time that is preventing you from getting there. So I love the field of energy work. And as you know, I've been to see you, and I think it's phenomenal. When I walk out of there, just it takes me a while to process, but the clarity that I have and the feelings that come through, it's just like this release. It's this huge release. Yeah.
It's like, and we're not taught this stuff. I think we should be taught this in school, but we should be taught a lot of things in school.
Yes, that's another podcast.
Exactly, a lot of other podcasts. But the thing is, like, we take a shower maybe once or twice, or once a day, or once every couple of days. We brush our teeth. Yeah. How about energy hygiene? We're taking in all this stuff every day. And then there's people who are very sensitive. There's the word empath that's used a lot. Empaths are people who feel it all. Yeah. And if you don't have and if you don't know how to cleanse your energy field, you're walking in with your stuff and everybody else's stuff stuck on you. Imagine if you didn't brush your teeth for years. Right? Gross. So, right. Same thing. It's like, that's the clogs we were talking about earlier. Like like we're talking about the clogs in the artery, making that analogy. Stuff can get glommed on you, either internally from your own experience or taking on other people's stuff. And if you don't do your energy hygiene, right, clean and clear, it's not going to just magically go away on its own. Like if you ignore it and don't brush them, they're not going to brush themselves. They're just going to get dirtier, right? And
go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, just as an aside to that, I think two points. One is that I work a lot with women more so than men, but obviously this applies to both. But I think women, especially mothers, we have that kind of, even if you're not an empath, in a general sense, a lot of, most women who have children are empathetic to their children. And so they can, that can be very stressful sometimes if your child is sick or hurt or going through something difficult. And you, like you said, we internalize all that as the parent, as the mother. And also when you are an empath, like I am an empath, and you can feel, like I walked by some woman the other day and I just felt her energy. Like it just, like my whole body got the chills. She was facing something really difficult and I felt it, and it just made me want to cry. So, and I also feel that when I go into certain places like Costco on a weekend and there's all these people walking around, it's like an energy overload for me, because I can feel all this, like the frustration and the crowds and and so I try not to do that to myself, but I agree with you that it is so important to be in tune with this, because you need to learn how to, I hate to say control it, but just how to kind of cleanse yourself of these feelings when they come in, especially if you're an empath and you pick up on what everybody else is feeling. Because if you're trying to heal, like if you're going through a divorce and you're having all these emotions and you're an empath and you are around the wrong people or negative people, or even people you love who are, I talk about support groups who are not the right support network for you, this can really have an effect on your energy as well. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree with all that. And there's lots of tools too that you can do or you can use where, like grounding is one that is the easiest thing to do, and it is so important. So like I kind of think of, I don't know, like a soda can, and you take it and you shake it up. Like that's all that crazy energy, like Costco, perfect example, right? And then if you're sensitive, you're just feeling your stuff and their stuff. It's draining and depleting and like makes you kind of confused, and you can get foggy or anxious. And so grounding is a way that we connect to the earth, which is our natural state, is to be grounded and one with the earth, right? And so I think of us as trees, as these massive trees. And if we send our roots down into the earth, then all that energy that's just bouncing around in us like a shaken up soda can pour out into the earth. And then there's clarity. Otherwise, we lose our clarity because everything else is coming in. And so there's this grounding, and it's the simplest like idea. You can go outside barefoot and put your feet on earth, or you can just do it right here, right now, wherever you are, just imagining that you're sending your roots down and out your pelvic floor, down your legs, out the soles of your feet, sending your roots down through the earth, all the way down into the center of the earth. And then you just breathe in. And
that's a great tool, that visualization, because, you know, like you said, if someone's, let's say at work, at an office, and they're feeling these energies and they're feeling depleted, and they can't go outside at the moment in nature, but they can close their eyes and visualize being those roots growing deep down. So it's something you can do anywhere at any time.
Anywhere at any time in the midst of some stressful thing. No one knows what you're doing. They can't see you. You know what I mean? You're grounding and using your breath. That is another super important tool. We have a breath with us always, right? And so there's ways to modulate your nervous system to bring down the stress that helps calm you and bring you back into like a more coherent state.
Yeah.
So if you double the length of your exhales, easiest thing. So if you breathe in, let's try this for a sec. Breathe in for the count of 1 and 2, and exhale for the count of 4, 3, 2, 1. And breathe in for 1, 2, and breathe out for 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time. Breathe in for 1, 2. As you breathe out, send your roots down. 4, 3, 2, 1. And gently letting your eyes open. So simple, right? Like you're waiting in,
simple.
Pick your kids up from school. You're waiting for that meeting to start at work. You're, about to have a heavy conversation.
And also, it also brings you back to your breath, because a lot of us forget to breathe. I mean, we breathe, obviously it's automatic, but we forget how important that breath is. And so that exercise I love, because it really puts you in tune with your breath. Like, oh, there's my breath. And it kind of calms you and just
totally calms you. It's a nervous system hack that puts you in contact with what's called a ventral vagal state, but it's just putting you into that calm and presence. And when you get anxious, what happens is you start to breathe up high with your neck and your chest. And what this breathing does is it triggers fight flight energy, and it triggers more anxiety and more stress. And it's like a self-repeating cycle, and you get more and more and more stress. And then when you're getting stressed, you get ungrounded, which makes you stressed, because now you're that shaken up soda can, right? You use that slow exhale twice as long, send your roots into the earth. And imagine as you're exhaling, you're letting go of all that, whatever that is, just letting it go into the earth. Super easy nervous system and energy hack. Because working with your nervous system and your energy field, super important, because remember, we're that tapestry. We're not separate pieces. So we're embodied, and stress and trauma lives in the body. Doesn't live in the head. That's why you said something earlier about like, I'm just going to think happy thoughts, but you can't just think them, because if you're nervous is a state of stress, you literally can't access the thinking. It's in survival. So you have to deal with the physical body the energetics. Then you can go up to your higher cognitive functions and start going with affirmations and thoughts and things like that.
Yeah.
So
let's
kind
of tie this a little bit to the person who is going through divorce and feeling all of these, emotions and oftentimes a lot of negativity, and just how when they go through, if they embark on a journey of, energy healing or go see an energy healer, does it help build the self-esteem? I mean, obviously it does, but maybe we can talk a little bit about that and providing, like you said, clarity because the goal when going through this, there's so many goals, but the main goal is to create this new life, because you have this we and it's being separated and now there's just a me, right? And a lot of people just get stuck there. Like, oh my gosh, what do I do? There's all these stressors. Like, how do I, if you have kids, how do I afford to live by myself without a second income? Who am I by myself? I don't even know me. And apart from, the couple, and there's just so many things and emotions, and some people just shut down and become a victim. So how do we use this energy work to kind of gain back that clarity and that self-confidence so that we can move forward? I know it's so individualized, but what would you recommend to somebody who maybe is interested in energy work as far as how long this might take to jumpstart the healing, or maybe even take them through the healing process?
Okay, so
questions.
That's a lot. And let's start.
A lot of questions. Sorry.
That's okay. I could talk about this for hours. So
I know.
So you talked about self-esteem, and I think self-esteem is a really important piece to everything you just asked, right? Our self-worth generally sits in our self-worth and esteem sits in our solar plexus. And so our solar plexus is the high part of your belly, in between where your ribs V. And so that is the way you see yourself, your esteem or your worth, and then therefore, the way you see yourself is the way you interact in the world, right? And so it's your power or lack of power. So that's your courage or your fear. That's your I'm worthy of creating my own life and I believe in myself, or I'm nothing without him or her and I can't, and I'm not enough. That's all in the solar plexus.
Yeah.
Right? And so
that so resonates with me, by the way, because when I let something stress me out, I get a stomach ache. I feel it that's where I feel it.
Right. And so that's what's so cool. Like how I was talking about, where all the pieces of us are woven together. Our physical is not separate from our energetic. So the solar plexus is located right next to the gut. So the solar plexus is where we digest life. The gut is where we digest the food that is the life force for us. So they are interchangeable. So if something's going on in the physical, it's going to echo into the energetic and vice versa. Yeah. So, in divorce, that's like a lot to digest, and a lot of history to digest. And so you said something earlier that I definitely want to come back to. You said something about like childhood and how that stuff. So yes. Like the more years that I've been doing this work, I always let the client's innate wisdom and intelligence take us where we need to go. And a vast majority of the time, we end up going back to childhood stuff that in their cognitive mind, they would never think. They're like, oh my God, I haven't thought about that forever. I didn't even remember that memory until suddenly in that memory in the healing session.
Excuse me.
But that a lot of times, like they say, the first 7 years or so, depending on who you're talking to, that forms like the scaffolding of us. That, and then we fill it in as we grow, but that forms like our energetic blueprint. So that's back when we were a kid. And so all the authority figures around us, our parents, our teachers, our preachers, our community, our
coaches,
caregivers, like all those, school, religion,
Yeah. Culture,
particular
religion.
like
Yeah.
ethnic community, like that forms the scaffolding of us before we're even old enough to say, hey, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
And because we have to depend upon all these grown-ups around us for our safety and survival,
Right.
we have to take that as gospel, and it forms our scaffolding. And so lots of times things that happened when we were young echo through, and that's the lens that we see ourselves and our life with, and that's the lens from which we make our choices and our decisions. So like an example, so a little kid goes to kindergarten and he's what, 4 or 5, right? And he goes to kindergarten and he's so excited, and he maybe didn't go to preschool and he's like, so happy. And he's so present in what he's doing, like children are, that he's not listening to the signals from his body. And so he has an accident. He wets his pants because he's so having so much fun. He doesn't want to go potty. And then so the teacher, could be like, oh, no problem, and let me help you. Or the teacher could be like, bad little Johnny, we are big boys and girls here and we don't do that. And then look, children, this is what a baby does. We're not babies here, are we? Blah, 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 right?
Right.
And then maybe the parent, the parent gets called and the parent's like, oh my God, Johnny, you embarrassed me, because the parents got all their stuff going on, and all their shame comes up. So now we talked about vibration, right? Shame, one of the lowest vibrational like areas of consciousness there is. And so here's the shame. And this little boy is like, he can't process it because he's just 4 or 5 years old. So our body, mind, spirit, and its innate intelligence, wisdom, instead of having that shame bouncing around in his little system like a crazed pinball machine, will take that shame and stuff it, usually in the solar plexus-ish region. And there it sits. And like we talked about before, it's not going to go away. Your teeth aren't going to brush themselves. This shame's not going to go away.
Yeah. And that's a great example, because that little boy or little girl grows up and maybe he's now going through divorce and has been taught all their lives from society, religion, culture, whatever, that divorce is bad. It's wrong. It's immoral. You stay married forever. And all of that junk from the childhood is going to contribute to this shame and this guilt. And that's just going to just pull you down. So that's
I'm not. And all the things that like come from shame, right? Like,
I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough.
I'm not good enough. Right? He knows better or she knows better. I don't know. I can't live without them. I can't make money because I'm not good enough. I depend on.
I can't. The words I can't, or the vibration, the feeling I can't. It's that belief. You don't think you can. So guess what? You're not going to. You're not going to heal until you deal with that, and then you can move forward and learn to, say I can.
Absolutely. It's that putting your worth outside yourself.
Yep.
And the thing is, when you heal those wounds and you go back and you pull them out of the different times, maybe that like strengthened them and like that snowball of unworthiness inside you, layer after layer got bigger and bigger. When you peel all that back and heal it, then you reclaim your own self-worth. Like you were born worthy. You don't have to earn it.
Yeah.
You are, if you don't do another thing with the rest of your life, you are worthy. You're not a mistake. Right. So imagine the different choices that you would make from that place.
Yep. It's all about choices.
Imagine power would have you knew internally, I am worthy. The conversations you could have, the choices you could make, the opportunities you could seize. Right.
It's and that being in that place, going through the healing from divorce and being in that place is it's just bliss. I mean, it's bliss to be able to make the right choices for you so that you can create a beautiful new life and you can heal in doing so. And yeah, I love this whole conversation. I feel like we can go on for another couple hours, but this is a great introduction into energy healing and energy in general. And tell me well, first of all, I want you to tell us where people can find you, and I'll put that up on the screen in a few minutes. But so you're here locally in Encinitas in San Diego County, North San Diego. And what if someone's on the other side of the country and they're really interested in this energy work? How do they find? Because I know that so many energy healers are different and do, use different modalities. And how do they find someone that's going to kind of connect with them and what they need? Is there a way to do that without?
Well, you're right. Just as there's tons of different types of doctors, there's tons of different types of energy healers, right? Like not all energy healing is the same. And so the cool thing about energy healing is energy is non-physical, right? So you don't actually have to physically be with the healer to receive healing. So I do healings with people on the other side of the country, in other countries.
Wonderful.
Yeah, like I have some clients up in Alaska, so cool.
Wonderful. That's
Australia.
Awesome.
So you can contact me, but so for folks that are around here, I also do hands-on healing as well as energy healing because it's all one. So I'm also working with the issues and the tissues, is what I call them, in a physical way, so the way that stuff gets stuck. So like working on unworthiness in the solar plexus, I would have my hands on, but that's not necessary. It's just a different dimension of healing. So if they wanted someone like that, then they would want someone local. But I have tons of clients who receive really great healing, just like this, like we're doing.
Yeah, and I've done both. I've been to energy workers over the years who have not touched me at all, but I could have sworn they were touching me. And when I opened my eyes at the end, I said, "You pressed so hard on my stomach." And he said, "I didn't touch you. I didn't touch your stomach, but I felt it. I felt that." So it's really interesting. And then I've been to, people like you who kind of do a combination. And I know that you use your intuition to really decide whether someone needs touch or not. And other, modalities that you use. And I love that. And it's individualized. So tell us how people can find you. And I'm going to put it up there as well, so they can.
Of course. I have a website. It's KristinButterfieldHealing.com. And my Instagram, which I'm not the greatest at posting at, but it's Kristin Butterfield Healing. So super simple.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much. Maybe we'll do another one of these and go into some more, because I find this so fascinating, and I have suggested to a lot of people to think about this, because I think it's really a great tool in the healing process. Especially like you said, to dive deep into those, long ago things, that emotions and situations and beliefs that we may not even think of when we're going through this healing process, and hold us back.
So it's like getting to that, like when you're weeding, right? You want to pull the weed out by the roots, not just cut off the top of it. It's going to grow back. So you want to get to the beginning. So you got to follow the roots deep. Yeah. Else it's just going to grow back in a different relationship, in a different form. Yeah.
Yeah. And oh gosh, that's a whole other, to talk about relationships and relationships after divorce, and how, just in a nutshell, we need to heal ourselves first before we go out there and date, because otherwise we're going to be attracting the same things, versus once we're healed and cleared and have clarity, we can go out and attract the things that we want from the person we've become in this new life that we've created. And it's maybe we can have a whole conversation about that, because I know I talk a lot about that in my book. And so it's anyway, but to stop myself from going off on a tangent, I want to thank you for all of this wonderful wisdom. And please, if you are considering or feel like you are stuck and in your healing process and you're doing, all the things that I talk about, maybe there's some other deep-seated events or emotions within you that happened a long time ago, as far back as, say, when you were a little kid, and you may not even know that, but it's definitely worth it to work with someone like Kristin and get in touch with that, because it'll take a load off your shoulders. So thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
And I really appreciate it and appreciate you. And maybe we'll have you back again.
Yeah, I'd love it.
All right.
Okay.
Take
Bye.
care. Yay. Take care. Bye-bye.